Ever wonder if your dog's morning stretch is as important as yours? Or maybe if that superfood post you saw online is actually, well, super misleading. Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is the show where we cut through all that noise, we pull out the crucial insights and basically give you a shortcut to being truly well-informed. And today, this deep dive, it's crafted just for you. We're taking a look at a really fascinating cross-section of daily life. We're drawing from the very latest insights compiled in the Consumers.app news aggregator podcast from June 28th, 2025. Think of it like a snapshot, current trends, developments, covering everything from personal well-being and financial security right through to some surprising truths about feeding our pets.
Yeah, it's actually quite remarkable how these topics, which seem so disconnected at first, how they reveal these surprising patterns about our world and, how we navigate it once you dig into the research. We have a lot of really fascinating ground to cover today.
Absolutely. So, okay, let's kick things off with our bodies. Our first headline is from The Independent, and it asks, 5 stretches you should be doing every day, according to a flexibility expert. Now, we all kind of know stretching feels good, right?
Yeah.
But what's the real deal here? Is there like a deeper science involved more than just feeling nice?
Oh, there absolutely is. The research compiled for this dive really highlights just how profoundly beneficial consistent stretching can be. It consistently improves your muscle control, significantly boosts flexibility, and increases your overall range of motion.
Okay.
And think about what that means day to day. It translates directly into easing hum and muscle cramps, reducing your risk of injury, and even substantially improving how well you do everyday activities without strain.
Right.
It's not even just a human thing. It's an instinctive behavior. You see it across the animal kingdom, usually after periods of rest. It really is integral to optimal physical function, whether you're a top athlete or just, getting through your day.
That makes perfect sense, yeah. Especially thinking about how our bodies are just meant to move. But here's where it gets even more interesting. It's not just about what we do ourselves.
Yeah.
Technology's stepping in, almost literally. Are we talking like AI yoga instructors now, or?
Well, not quite AI yoga instructors, but something maybe just as impressive. Our source material talks about the Stretch with Stretch system, or SWS. It's this novel, pretty compact mobile robot designed specifically to help older adults, especially those with Parkinson's disease, with their physical therapy.
Oh.
Yeah. It guides users with customized visual cues, verbal instructions. It even adapts in real time based on their individual range of motion and how they're performing.
That's incredible.
It's a really striking example of how adaptive tech can provide both that physical help and cognitive engagement during rehab.
Personalized physical therapy from a robot. Okay, so bringing it back to our own routines then, there's always been a lot of talk about different kinds of stretching, static versus dynamic, right?
Yeah.
What's the latest advice for getting ready for a workout or just trying to stay limber day to day? Which one's better?
Okay, so the scientific research analyzed for Consumers.app, it strongly suggests that dynamic stretching is the way to go. That means things like continuous movements, arm circles, leg swings, torso twists that take your muscles through their full range.
Like active movements.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It seems much more beneficial than static stretching, where you stretch still for a while, like, holding a toe touch, especially before exercise.
Oh, really? Before exercise?
Yes. Static stretching, surprisingly, might actually reduce muscular strength and power output right afterwards.
Huh. That's counterintuitive.
It is. It goes against what a lot of us were probably taught. Dynamic stretching, on the other hand, it effectively warms up the muscles, gets the blood flowing, and seems to improve performance without that drop in strength. So it's really ideal for pre-exercise routines. Doesn't matter your age or fitness level. And it's not just about those traditional stretches either. The research also brings up nerve gliding exercises.
Nerve gliding, like nerve flossing.
Exactly, sometimes called nerve flossing. They're becoming really important in rehab for things like carpal tunnel. They're gentle movements that help your peripheral nerves slide smoothly where they're supposed to, reducing pain, improving function.
Interesting.
And you might have seen Miranda Esmond White's Eccentrics workout, often on PBS.
Oh, yeah, I think I know that one.
Well, her work has done a lot for public understanding of how dynamic stretching benefits aging and pain management. Really popularized this idea that it's the movement, not just holding a pose, that's key for lifelong flexibility.
So, bottom line, whether you're, an elite athlete trying to get that edge or just someone trying to reach the top shelf without pulling something, the science is pretty clear. Daily stretching and how you stretch really matters for your physical health. Smart movement is key. All right, let's shift focus. From our physical bodies to our digital plates, you could say. Our next headline comes from Dev Discourse, how social media platforms promote ethical eating and food sustainability. Now, that sounds great, right? A total win-win. Who doesn't want to eat better and help the planet? But I suspect there's maybe a bit more to this story.
There absolutely is. It's a complex picture. On the one hand, the analysis does show that social media platforms can play a significant role in fostering positive change. They let ideas and practices spread incredibly quickly. They help build online communities around sustainable habits.
Like what kinds of things?
Things like cutting down food waste, maybe trying more plant-based diets, supporting local food, that kind of stuff. It's definitely a powerful tool for advocacy and for connecting people with shared values.
Okay, so that's the good side.
That's the good side. However, the really critical issue that jumps out from the research is just how pervasive misinformation is. Social media is unfortunately just full of misleading health claims, exaggerated benefits, even ethical contradictions.
Yeah, like influencers talking sustainability while flying private jets.
Exactly, that sort of thing. We've all seen it. And studies actually confirm this feeling. Content shared on social media often has significantly lower credibility and a much higher chance of being misleading or outright false compared to, say, official health websites or peer-reviewed sources.
Right.
It's like trying to find your way through a thick fog when you just want clear information.
That's a really important point. It can feel totally overwhelming sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So given this, digital flood of information, some good, some bad, what can you, our listener, actually do about it?
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to making choices about what you eat.
Yeah, it can feel like a lot, but the research does point to several effective ways to push back. These include what are called cognition-based approaches. Basically, strategies designed to boost your critical thinking skills directly, helping you tell credible info from misleading stuff. Then there are automated methods, algorithms flagging potentially false info.
Like fact check labels.
Sort of, yeah. And also information-based strategies, which focus on putting accurate counter-narratives out there to debunk the myths. Often it's a mix of these approaches that works best. Because, look, user-generated content is great for democratizing information, but it also means false or misleading stuff can spread like wildfire, partly because people often share without checking first.
Not true.
So for you, listening right now, the most powerful defense is simple. Actively practice critical thinking. Always question the source. Ask about the intent behind the content you're seeing. Before you hit share or totally change your diet based on some post, just pause. Verify the info with credible, authoritative sources. This kind of proactive approach builds up your resilience against misleading stuff and lets you make genuinely informed choices for your health and the planet.
Okay, so it's clear then. Social media can be a powerful tool for good, absolutely. But developing sharp, critical thinking skills, that's your best defense against bad information, especially when it comes to food. All right, let's shift gears again to a topic that hits close to home for the long-term future of millions, retirement. Our next headline is from CBS News on MSN.com, and it states, half of all private sector workers lack access to a retirement plan.
Wow, half. That's a pretty stark statistic, almost alarming, really. What does this actually mean for, tens of millions of Americans trying to plan for their later years?
That statistic, which was a key finding in the Consumers.app analysis, it really points to a huge challenge. The core problem is exactly that. Half of U.S. private sector workers just don't have access to an employer-sponsored retirement plan, period.
And without that structure. Exactly. Without those structured ways to save, like a 401k, it becomes incredibly difficult for people to put money away effectively for retirement. In the U.S., we mostly have two main types of plans, broadly speaking. There are defined benefit plans, like traditional pensions, promising a set payout, less common now, and defined contribution plans, like 401ks, where what you get depends on contributions and how investments do.
Right.
And both are heavily regulated by laws like ERISA, that's the Employee Retirement Income Security Act. It's meant to protect your savings. Plus, they get favorable tax treatment from the IRS.
It's fascinating because you'd sort of think in this digital age, just giving people a retirement calculator would be a huge help, right?
Yeah.
Seems like a logical step to make people more aware. But the research you mentioned from that study On Track for Retirement, also cited in our source material, found something quite surprising, didn't it?
It really did, and it dives right into behavioral economics. The study found that simply providing employees with retirement calculators didn't significantly increase how much they contributed.
Really? No difference.
Not a significant one. Which is, well, counterintuitive. It suggests the barriers to saving often go much deeper than just lacking the right tools or information. It's more likely tied to immediate financial pressures, the cost of living day to day, or maybe just a lack of truly internalizing how critical future needs are, rather than just knowing how to calculate them.
Oh.
It really shows that knowing what to do doesn't always mean you can or will do it.
That makes sense. Life gets in the way.
Precisely. And to address this bigger picture, the Consumers.app research highlights that policy changes could have a big impact. Things like boosting income tax credits or exempting pension benefits from taxation. These could significantly improve things. Well, essentially, they could increase labor supply and overall welfare. They put a bit more disposable income in people's pockets relative to basic costs, which can directly encourage saving. We even see similar behaviors internationally. For instance, insights from China when they announced a delayed retirement age showed that higher income households actually increased their savings because they suddenly felt less confident about future pension income. It shows how much policy expectations shape individual financial choices.
Oh, interesting.
The research also touched on a part-time penalty where older workers might retire earlier than they wanted because part-time wages are often significantly lower, making it just not viable to keep working.
So this really drives home that securing your future isn't just about individual willpower or saving habits. It's deeply, deeply tied to having access in the first place and the broader economic policies that shape whether saving is even possible for many people. It's a much bigger puzzle. Okay, let's shift now to something a bit lighter, maybe, but definitely important as summer heats up, getting outdoors. Our next headline, this one from KSL, shares hiking with pets this summer. Here are some tips to have the best experience possible. So many of us love hitting the trails, right? And often our furry companions are right there with us. But what do we really need to know to keep them safe, keep them happy, and also, be respectful of the environment we're enjoying?
This is absolutely vital for pet owners. The Consumers.app research pulls together some really practical safety and health tips, non-negotiables really. First off, hydration. Always, always carry plenty of water for both you and your pet. That's key. Avoid hiking in extreme heat. Try for cooler parts of the day, or stick to trails with lots of shade. Protective gear, like booties for their paws, can make a huge difference. Prevent injuries from rough ground or hot surfaces.
Oh yeah, pavement gets scorching. Trails can too.
Exactly. And always keep a close eye on your pet for signs of overheating or just getting too tired. Know their limits. And, a pre-season vet checkup is always a smart idea. Make sure they're physically up for the activity.
That mindful preparation makes total sense for safety. Okay. But beyond just managing the immediate risks, are there any, cool tech advancements helping pet owners out on the trails these days? Because I'm picturing myself trying to convince my dog to drink more water on a hot day. And frankly, I could use an app for that.
You are definitely not alone. And yes, technology is increasingly part of pet care. Our source material actually mentions advancements like Alexa skills specifically designed for pets.
Alexa skills for pets? Like what?
Yeah, they're not just gimmicks. They can do things like help calm your pet with soothing sounds if they get anxious, track their movements with connected collars if they happen to wander off trail, which is terrifying, and even help with training reminders or health check-ins. They offer real convenience and support, especially when you're out hiking and need quick access to info or tools. Makes the whole thing smoother.
Huh, okay. That's pretty neat.
And then beyond their direct safety, we also have to think about their environmental impact, right? The research really stresses keeping pets leash, sticking strictly to the marked trails, and always cleaning up after them, no exception.
Leave no trace, basically.
Exactly. It minimizes disturbance to wildlife and helps keep those ecosystems healthy. And those protective booties and maybe reflective vests, they aren't just about comfort. They prevent injuries from sharp rocks, extreme temperatures. They help avoid nasty things like foxtails or ticks getting embedded. And that reflective gear seriously improves visibility in dimmer light. Huge safety factor.
Right. So enjoying nature with your pet is fantastic, a great experience. But it clearly requires being mindful, being prepared, both for their safety and for protecting the beautiful environment you're in.
Okay, for our final deep dive today, let's tackle something super important to so many of us, what we feed our animal companions. Our last headline is Vet Talk, pet food and supplement myths you need to know from the Straits Times. It turns out, just like with our own nutrition, there's a surprising amount of misinformation floating around about pet food and supplements.
You are absolutely right about that. The Consumers.app research gets straight to debunking several common myths, and these are really crucial for pet owners. First, this idea that supplements are always necessary for a pet's diet. Actually not true.
Okay.
Second, and this is really critical, supplements can absolutely not replace a balanced, complete diet. Your supplement.
Right, they supplement. Exactly. And third, that word natural you see on labels. It doesn't automatically mean a product is safe or even effective. Whether a supplement is needed, and if it will work, depends entirely on a pet's individual specific health needs, and they should only be given after you've talked it through thoroughly with your vet.
Vet consultation first.
Clear sign, owners are increasingly investing in premium, specialized, often customized food and supplement options for their furry family members.
Okay, so if a vet does identify a specific deficiency in a pet, can supplements actually fix that? Or are they sometimes just, creating expensive urine?
That's a fair question. And yes, supplements can definitely help address certain specific nutritional gaps or deficiencies. But you hit on the critical point again. They should never, ever be seen as a replacement for a fundamentally sound, balanced diet. The absolute key, as the research emphasizes again and again, is that initial thorough evaluation by a vet.
Right.
Using supplements improperly, it can actually lead to other health problems, sometimes even toxicity if the dose is wrong or it's given for the wrong reason. For example, the source material mentions a case study involving a green iguana.
An iguana.
Yeah, with a specific spinal issue. Targeted dietary supplements alongside proper overall nutrition management did actually help its recovery, so they can work when used very strategically. We're also seeing ongoing research into things like specific beneficial bacteria probiotics, basically. Things like Enterococcus species, looking at their potential to help balance gut microbes and maybe boost immunity in pets.
Like probiotics for humans.
Exactly. But this research also, very importantly, highlights the safety side, potential issues with pathogenicity, antibiotic resistance. It's complex, and that just underscores why regulatory guidance is so incredibly vital here. Clear rules on ingredients, dosage, labeling. They help ensure that these supplement products are actually safe and meet standards, that they genuinely contribute to health rather than potentially causing harm.
So, just like for us, understanding what our pets truly need nutritionally is absolutely key to their long-term health. And being able to separate the solid facts from the persuasive myths. That's essential work for every single pet owner.
Wow.
What a truly insightful journey we've been on today. We've covered such a fascinating range, haven't we? From the surprising science behind a simple stretch, to navigating that tricky digital world of food info, the stark realities of retirement planning, keeping our pets safe out on the trails, and finally decoding some of those myths around pet nutrition. This has been a really illuminating deep dive into the latest insights from consumers.app.
And that really is the value, isn't it? Taking all this information, synthesizing it, helping you gain valuable insights quickly, thoughtfully, across all these different areas that touch our lives as consumers, connecting dots you might not expect.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. So, here's a thought to leave you with. Given how interconnected our lives are, digital information with our physical well-being, what's maybe one small change you might make today to be just a little better informed or perhaps better prepared for tomorrow? If you found value in this deep dive, please do like, share, and subscribe to Consumers 360. It helps us keep bringing you future insights.